Cheryl, Keith Freeman is facing a federal charge, but he is not, we're told, by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Chicago in federal custody tonight. But people here at Dalton Village Hall say they haven't seen him either since word of that indictment dropped just a few hours ago.
Aide to a controversial South suburban politician has been fired as federal investigators focus in on his boss.
WGN Investigates has confirmed Tiffany Henyard's senior advisor in Thornton Township is out of a job.
The U.S. Attorney accuses Freeman of concealing assets and incomes from his creditors.
Several high-level officials in South suburban Dalton facing a rush of lawsuits and investigations. Federal prosecutors accuse Keith Freeman of making false statements in his bankruptcy petition.
Numerous senior officials in South suburban Dalton are dealing with an influx of lawsuits and inquiries. Keith Freeman is accused by federal prosecutors of lying in his bankruptcy petition. Tiffany Henyard used to have a lot of supporters, but it seems like everyone is against her now. She is hiring lackey to fill the positions, but it's difficult to take them seriously since all of her former workers are coming forward to expose her unethical behavior. Among them is Keith Freeman. So how did he shift from being Tiffany's ally to giving the FBI all the inside information?
Now, Keith Freeman, he's been in and out of trouble since he was a young person. He was charged for theft in 2000. He was charged with a felony in Iowa when he turned 27. This was back in 2005. Theft in the second degree. Oh, Keith is a busybody. He has a long rap sheet. He never cleared up his charges because back in 2011, he was in Palm Beach, Florida, where they extradited him back to Iowa. They said out-of-state fugitive. Refugitive from justice. That's your boy, Keith Freeman. Because we all know Tiffany Henyard made a big fuss about not giving background checks. And this is one of the reasons why she didn't want to give a background check. Because anybody that works for municipal department or the city can have felonies. And I'm pretty sure they can't have theft.
Freeman Keith Dalton, Illinois, the village administrator, was charged with federal bankruptcy fraud. The accusations against him center on his alleged falsification of assets and income in a prior year's bankruptcy filing.
A high-ranking administrator for both Dalton and Thornton Township is charged with fraud connected to an alleged bankruptcy scheme.
The village also completed negotiations with the police patrol, police lieutenants, and the sergeants.
Right here you see Keith Freeman, who sits next to embattled Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, discussing finances at a recent village board meeting. The U.S. Attorney accuses Freeman of concealing assets and incomes from his creditors. He faces up to 5 years in prison if convicted. We reached out to Freeman and various Dalton officials, but have not yet heard back.
Freeman, who is also Thornton Township's government manager, was charged with Sirius on January 3, 2024. He filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Chicago. In his applications, he underreported his total income, claiming it to be significantly less than it actually was.
Not so expensive apartment. You're collecting money from the village of Dalton, and you're also collecting money from Thornton Township. So you're making about $150,000 a year. I'm pretty sure it's more. He's saying that he only works for Thornton Township. Your income. Thornton Township, municipality manager. Gross income, $5,800. Now, I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, but from the payroll expenses of Village of Dalton payroll, Keith is on here. This was just in October. Keith Freeman, $3,800 every 2 weeks. And he claims that he only makes $5,800 from Thornton Township. Employer's name, Thornton Township. The reason why he's trying to get away with it is because Keith is a 1099 employee. He's not paying no taxes off his income. No Social Security taxes, no medical taxes, no benefit taxes.
To make matters worse, Freeman neglected to disclose a significant allegation made against him by the Village of Robbins, where he served as village administrator from 2017 to 2021. The Village of Robbins claimed that Freeman received approximately $9,396 more than he was permitted to during his employment. Freeman is accused of fabricating a copy of his 2022 income tax return to the Chapter 7 trustee, further misrepresenting his financial circumstances. Freeman did not file a tax return for that year, but he sent documents that showed a significantly lower income than he actually got.
This is long coming. If a person can lie on their own financials, what do you think they're doing for the village? Nobody is untouchable. That's what I want to say. Nobody is untouchable. So if this is just the first domino to all of them falling, let it happen.
Ooh, hey, Brad. How you doing?
Freeman is a key player in our reporting on Tiffany Henyard because of how many roles he plays for her. In addition to the Dalton and Township jobs, Freeman also, for a time, was the registered agent of the Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation.
But there's no foundation in the state of Illinois moving like we move, shaking, moving like we doing right things. Right.
While Henyard's namesake charity claims to help cancer patients, WGN Investigates has reported it received most of its early money from taxpayers and has failed to file required paperwork showing how it spends its money.
How come you don't respond to my emails?
There you go. There you go. There you go. That's all you get from me. That's all you get from me today.
How come the charity hasn't filed its financial disclosures about how money was spent?
The indictment also describes a January 30, 2024 incident in which Freeman testified under oath at a creditor meeting. In this testimony, he falsely claimed that he was not employed by Dalton and that the village had not paid him. Freeman made these false claims as part of a plot to hide his true financial situation from the court and his creditor.
And on one count of bankruptcy fraud, says Freeman falsely stated he only worked for the township and made just over $99,000 last year. Prosecutors say he tried to hide his Dalton earnings via a pass-through company, which brought his income to $195,000 last year. They further allege the village of Robbins has a claim against Freeman for more than $90,000 he took without authorization from a previous post he held as village administrator there.
He might have spent up to 5 years in federal prison if found guilty of bankruptcy fraud. The severity of the accusations has been underlined by federal authorities, including special agents from the FBI and IRS and the acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois. Dalton, though, is incredibly eager for him to leave.
Trustees say Freeman's position at Village Hall has been a question for some time.
There was a lot of controversy on whether or not he was an employee or if he was contracting. Now they're saying that he didn't list this information.
And if he can't handle his own business, how in the world can he handle ours?
Freeman has been a close ally of embattled Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Longtime residents and frustrated leaders of Dalton say this federal fraud charge against Administrator Keith Freeman is a relief.
You know, we've been waiting for some justice to be served.
At the next board meeting, if he show up, I'll ask him to step down again because he's an embarrassment to this community.
Freeman entered a not guilty plea to the allegations and was set free on a $4,000 unsecured bond subject to sealed restrictions.
Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's top aide, Keith Freeman, pleaded not guilty to federal bankruptcy charges today, as he's also named in another lawsuit against the village and its embattled mayor. Senior Administrator for Dalton and Thornton Township, Keith Freeman, pleading not guilty to bankruptcy fraud. His attorney speaking with reporters after the arraignment.
I think that many practitioners in this building would be surprised to see this level of attention and press paid to a bankruptcy indictment. We've had a couple of questions directed to me about whether or not this indictment means that the government is effectively trying to squeeze Mr. Freeman into cooperation. And I think that question is a question better put to the government. And the record will show overall that Mr. Freeman for many, many years has been a trusted public steward.
Freeman agreed to waive the discharge of his debts in his bankruptcy case in exchange for a settlement with the bankruptcy trustee after the federal indictment. So even with his plea, he will still be responsible for the obligations stated in his bankruptcy filing. The fallout from Freeman's legal issues has been substantial for the administrations of Dalton and Thornton Township, as well as for him.
Freeman's appearance in federal court comes just a day after he was sued alongside Mayor Henyard by a Dalton property owner who says he was unjustly denied a business license.
When Keith Freeman told me that he's going to give me all the permits and put me in a position where I start working on my property, About time when I met with him again, he told me, "Who are you, and do I know you?"
Tyrone Isom tried to open a barber shop and then a pigmentation studio in this space, but he says the building inspector told him Henyard blocked the project.
She said initially, Tiffany Henyard did not want nobody to get these properties because she wanted the land. So that was right there in a nutshell.
It is a mess down there, and you have a mayor who believes that she owns every piece of property in that town and can control everything that happens in that town.
Henyard's spokesperson hasn't responded to our request for comment on the lawsuit, but last month, Henyard once again complained that she is the victim of critics intent on tearing down the first Black female mayor of Dalton.
The controversies surrounding both of their terms of office have been exacerbated by his close relationship with Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, who is also being questioned about her leadership.
Good evening. There were many tense moments in tonight's meeting. At times, Supervisor Tiffany Henyard took on her fellow trustees when it came to money and expenses, even accusing some of them of spreading lies about her.
Please tell me how you're out of order. You're out of order. How do they operate, trustees? How do they operate?
There were countless interactions just like this, elevated voices and heated debates about spending and the lack of a new budget. Several of the trustees questioned much of the township's spending, while Henyard says she's cleaned its finances up.
Y'all thought that I was young, dumb, didn't know nothing, was gonna let y'all come and manipulate me. I didn't do any of that. So because I didn't do any of that, you guys started this whole smear campaign.
At one point in this 3-hour meeting, Supervisor Henyard demanded Finance Director Robert Hunt read through more than 100 line items that many trustees wanted to get rid of. For example, thousands of dollars to Amazon,
$169.99.
thousands of dollars of cakes for community events,
102 Calumet Bakery,
and tens of thousands of dollars that were allegedly allocated for the one-day event, The Taste of Thornton Township.
We just had a couple events here in the past month or so. That just extraordinary amount of money was spent unnecessarily.
As for upcoming events, the trustees voted to stop a few, including House Fest and Gospel Fest. Henyard accused the trustees of acting out of spite.
And right now, you guys are operating with hatred in your hearts. You're operating out of feelings. You're not operating with things that's going on. And I don't think that's fair to us. And I don't understand why it's a problem when we got a surplus in Thornton Township thanks to Supervisor Tiffany Henyard once again.
Henyard Tiffany, the troubled South suburban lawmaker, dismissed Keith Freeman, her top aide, due to mounting legal issues and federal investigation, according to the township's HR department. Freeman, who held the positions of village administrator in Dalton and senior advisor at Henyard in Thornton Township, was fired from his position in the township due to persistent absences from work and misbehavior.
WGN Investigates has learned township administrators loyal to Henyard began demanding answers about Freeman's whereabouts during the workday. Records show he claimed to be on family medical leave but didn't fill out an application. And on July 9th, HR sent Freeman this letter firing him. It reads in part, "Due to the high-ranking position that you hold at the township, this type of misconduct cannot be tolerated. Your misconduct is a detriment to the smooth functioning of the township's operations."
We are public servants and not self-servants.
Freeman's departure comes as Henyard is facing a challenge for mayor and control. On Sunday, a slate of trustees who've called out her use of tax money for self-promotion, questionable contracts, a big security detail, travel, and her namesake cancer charity announced they're seeking to dethrone Henyard in next year's election.
We have been steadfast in our efforts to stop the gross mismanagement and abuse of power that people have seen in the village today.
Freeman was fired at a moment when there was widespread conjecture that he was under pressure from federal prosecutors to assist with their continuing investigation of the Henyard administration. Among Freeman's legal troubles is a recent indictment for bankruptcy fraud, in which it is said that he submitted false statements to hide his assets and income. This federal allegation has made matters more difficult for Freeman and raised questions about whether or not he would cooperate with authorities.
Some saw as a play to push him to cooperate with the FBI's investigation into Henyard. Back then, trustees said they hoped it was the beginning of the end of Henyard's reign.
Well, that's what I want to say. Nobody is untouchable. So if this is just the first domino to all of them falling, let it happen.
But Henyard allowed Freeman to keep both jobs until now.
Henyard, who is also the mayor of downtown, has come under fire for her handling of the public's finances and leadership. She has been accused of retaliating against staff members who have spoken out against her and of lavishly using public monies for personal travel.
As a reporter, I know there are a million ways a politician could have answered that question.
Because remember, I got the tea with the receipts. Matter of fact, if you want the tea, get it from me.
Rather than responding to questions from reporters, Henyard makes videos pouncing on her opponents.
Larry the liar, stop it. You caught, poof, be gone, you caught.
And promising answers, but never quite explaining her spending, leadership style, and transparency. And that's evidence of the role personality plays in this story.
You the ones that's costing the village money. And I don't have that call. All right.
You see, Tiffany Henyard does not like to be challenged. She demonstrates this at almost every village board meeting when opposition trustees ask her for more information about village vendors and bills before they'll agree to sign off.
I shouldn't have to sit up here and break all this down.
One significant event included a contentious trip to Las Vegas that cost taxpayers tens of thousands of dollars. After the trip, a citizen of Dothan openly chastised Henyard, branding her the worst mayor in the United States.
Tonight in South Suburban Dalton, residents got the chance to address the controversy surrounding embattled Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Complaints include sexual harassment, retaliation, and discrimination, and a controversial trip to Las Vegas last May. NBC5's Regina Waldrop was at tonight's meeting in Dalton.
A concerned community seeking answers.
I know you're going to ask for an investigation. I'm hoping that means the administration will have nothing to do with it.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard was absent from this special Dalton Village Board meeting. She and a village trustee who is not named are at the center of an investigation by the Illinois Department of Human Rights. The probe is focused on what allegedly happened on an economic development trip to Las Vegas last May. Henyard's former assistant who filed this complaint claims she was sexually assaulted by an unnamed Dalton trustee on that trip. We're not naming the woman because NBC5 does not name people who possibly were a victim of a sexual assault.
Given his strong ties to Henyard and his engagement in her administration, Freeman's sacking was considered as a significant step. Although he is still employed in Dalton, his departure from Thornton Township signaled a clear attempt to remove Henyard from the controversy surrounding Freeman. The ongoing inquiry into the Henyard's administration is made more problematic by Freeman's legal issues and rumors concerning his assistance with federal officials.
Also tonight, more drama in Dalton. Credit card transactions amounting to thousands of dollars without explanation and millions more owed to vendors.
A bombshell report highlights just how much financial trouble the village of Dalton is really in. Our Casey Cronus is live tonight with details. Casey.
Don and Scott, community members' jaws dropped during tonight's presentation. The report was put together by former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who was hired by village trustees in April as an independent investigator. They sought her out to get to the bottom of Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyard's alleged misuse of village funds. Of the revelations made tonight, we are learning that as of May 31st of this year, the village's general fund, which is used to pay the majority of village expenses, is $3.65 million in deficit.
Tiffany Henyard's political future appears increasingly dubious as she navigates these volatile times, with numerous lawsuits and federal scrutiny. Will the citizens of Henyard suffer still more, or will the music finally be faced? That's it for now. Please let us know what you think in the comments section below. To receive future updates, click the bell symbol.